Right, well, James asked me if I would come along and do a couple of poems, and I very foolishly agreed. Especially as he said, I want you to tell people why you write poetry. And I'm thinking, I wish I'd never said out. You know, how do you say why you write without coming across as pretentious? So, well, I think the best way of putting it is something happens inside you that is wanting to be born. And the best way it can express itself is in verse. And that's best I can do. And so I do one about childhood. It sort of encapsulates most of how I feel about my childhood. And it starts, I remember my childhood when I was a cowboy. I rode my pretend pony all round the schoolyard. The slap on my thigh would make him go faster. Red marks on my leg when I rode him too hard. And I remember my childhood when I was an outlaw. No Robin Hood ever shot straighter than I. All the world marvelled at my skill as an archer, except for my sister, who I shot in the eye. And I remember my very first puppy, that black and white bundle of puppy dog fun. I took him home and he peed on the carpet. He died when he was 16 and I was 21. And I smile when I remember I used to go fishing, dawn on a ladder, awaking my friend. Me and Chris, bicycles, fishing rods, rivers, afloat in a line with a fish on the end. And I remember their trips to the seaside, cockles and mussels and donkeys and sand, Mum in her summer frock, Dad in the boozer, giant ice cream cornet that ran down my hand. And I remember with mixed feelings, boyhood Christmas Day mornings, Dad with a hangover saying he thought he would die. Chicken for dinner, then indigestible pastries. If there's no Father Christmas, blame Mother's mince pie. And I remember my fight for long trousers at grammar school. Mother eventually bowed to my pleas. I remember the thrill when I pulled on my first pair, but my childhood vanished along with my knees. Thank you. And to finish, I thought what I'd do one about love. This is the worst possible kind of love. It's schoolboy, unrequited love, and it's dedicated to the memory of Carol Bly, with whom I was in love with for all of 3T, and I just wished I could have like come up with that then. Carol, oh Carol, in your schoolgirl apparel. Carol, how I fell for you. And I'd pray every day in my schoolboy way that Carol, you'd love me too. When my schoolboy eyes fell on her girly thighs when she was out there on the field playing hockey, my heart skipped a beat. I was swept off my feet and my poor knees just went all knocky. In a permanent swoon from just being in the same room, which was more beautiful, her left or her right? And it has to be said, just the back of her head put all scholarly leanings to flight. Being in the same class as this wonderful lass put me through heaven and hell. Oh, the ecstasy when she sat down next to me. Ah, but they were hard times as well. It was more than I could take. I thought my poor heart would break when I saw her with that poncy-faced prat, Terence Dunning. I'd have to think of a way to steal her away. I'd have to be clever and cunning. But kind words and fond looks, offers to carry her books, had little effect on this girlie. Carol played hard to get, stayed with Cherry the Wet, and her attitude towards me became surly. Then my best friend said, Mart, she's tearing you apart. Best ignore her or she'll do in your head. But I said I'd rather die than ignore Carol Bly, so I ignored my best friend instead. But sadly for me, Carol and I weren't to be, or my loving intentions were spurned. But though the years have passed by, schoolboy love didn't die. I just yearned, and I've yearned and I've yearned. Thank you very much.